G'day there. Let's look at creating a website in your Practice Pro. So why do we have a website? Most of you will understand the basics of why websites are so important. It's a central place to have your main info and promotions that's visible for anyone, anywhere online, whether it's a desktop, a mobile phone, a cell phone, anything. It is found in search, which is really great. If someone's searching for you by name or they're searching for content, you can appear for them when they're ready to find it, which is great. And it provides a good way to give people a guide to the services that you offer and actually then click to be able to book in. Another reason is just that a website is expected once a business gets to a certain level. So it creates trust. It shows people that you are a legitimate business, that you're online, that you've got things going on. And it can help get better results from other marketing. For example, even things like referrals. If someone is referred to you, the first thing they'll often do is Google you to have a look at your website and see, does this look like the kind of place that I want to book in? A website is also incredibly flexible because you own it and you can do what you want with it. You're not limited to the way that things like social media or other platforms force you to display information in a certain way or a certain type. Instead, you have huge creative potential and an opportunity for more content and longer content, if and when you're ready for that. Now, that's just websites in a nutshell, but why this web builder? Why in your Practice Pro? Well, first off, it's very easy to use. It's got a drag and drop editor that makes simple and beautiful sites. It's got over 1,000 templates to be able to choose from, and you access the same media library as you are using for social media. It's all part of this one system, which is part of what makes it super easy. You can just drop your forms in. Anyone who fills one in is automatically a contact inside your contact area. So everything is nice. It's also included in the price of your Practice Pro, of course, so there's no extra fees for hosting or anything else like that. You have unlimited sites, so you can actually create more than one website, as many as you want, and all the websites can have as many pages as you want. You can do e-commerce as well, which I haven't mentioned on here, but you can even sell your physical products or online products, services, that kind of stuff as well. This is just a quick preview of the template library. You can see there's a bunch of things in here. I've just gone to the area that's like health and wellness and beauty and that kind of stuff. And there's thousands and thousands of different templates to be able to choose from. Usually what I suggest is you find one that kind of looks sort of like the look and feel or the design that you want, the template. And then we jump in, we change the photos, we change the text to be able to fill it in for being more like you, to have your personality and connect with your audience. This is an example of one of the templates. It's a beauty center spa. I just chose this one because it's got a picture of a massage happening in the background, but obviously you'd want to change that to look more like what you want as well. But yeah, it's very simple to edit something when it's already there basically, and we're just coming in and adding in our own bits and pieces of content. So there are a couple of steps to making this work. Yes, we edited in the template and then we need to connect your domain. So this is the actual mymassageplace.com, making sure that when someone types that in or when they click a link to that, that it actually opens this website. So when you are ready to go live, that's when you connect the domains in. We don't yet have a way to register those domain names inside your Practice Pro, so you will be registering those somewhere else, like GoDaddy or name.com or one of those places. In fact, if you've already got a website or an email address, you've already got a domain name registered somewhere else. We just change some settings to be able to point them to this site, and then you can select any of the domain names that you've got connected to be able to show your site on. If you need any help with the tech side of things, that's what we're here for. Just reach out. It is very, very simple to make the site, and then there's just a couple of tech settings to make the domain name connect in. Q&A. So I know there'll be a few questions about this before I get into demoing it. Yes, you can have multiple domain names and sites, including subdomains, which means you can have something before the dot. It's like www dot, you can replace it with anything else. So you can, for example, have store.mymassagesite.com and put a whole separate website on there with a store or something if you wanted to. As many as you like, all included. If you already have another website in place and you're thinking, maybe I want to rebuild it, you would create the new one in your Practice Pro. The old one will still be visible while you're creating that new one. And then when your new one is ready, we just what's called point the domain. It's like we switch the domain from loading up your old site to loading up the new site. So for someone who's looking on the internet they'll just see the old site and then next minute they'll see the new site. They won't even know that you've been building it for the last 2 months. But for you, you can just have it in this place, see what it's looking like, preview it, all that kind of stuff until you're ready to go live. And yes, in your Practice Pro, all the standard SEO options are available for each page. It works quite well for SEO. It has all the same options as any other standard system would have. Yes, you can connect your booking calendar. So obviously we have a booking calendar inside your Practice Pro. If you're using that one, we can just connect that in really easily. If you're using a third-party booking calendar or software management that way, we just need the link to your booking page and we just put a button and put that link on, or we make a menu item, we put that link on. The same as you would in any website, we can just integrate it very, very easily by linking through. And yes, you can make a shopping cart. As I said, sell physical products, digital products, automatically deliver them, all that kind of stuff. Connects into the standard automations that we have available in your Practice Pro. So as well as delivering them the product automatically, if it's a digital product, you can send them follow-ups, you can ask them questions, you can ask for reviews of the products, anything like that, all automated the same way as we do a lot of the other automation. And no, it doesn't have thousands of random plugins or need updates every week or month like WordPress does, thank goodness. The WordPress has its own beauty in that it is very flexible and can do a whole bunch of different stuff. But to create a standard, simple site, a handful of pages, maybe sell some products and ask for a booking, we don't need anything like that flexibility. And so this system keeps everything simple, never needs updates, or they're applied automatically within the system. It does get updated regularly, but you don't have to do any of that. It's never going to go out of date the way WordPress does. Thank goodness. One final thing to note is that sites in your Practice Pro are different to funnels. They've just got a different name. This is simply because of the purpose of them. The way they are edited is exactly the same. So when I'm demoing editing a site here, if you're editing a funnel, it's very similar, but a funnel is designed more like a step-by-step. It's like someone loads up a page that says, grab this offer. There's a big button there that says, grab the offer, and then they go to a thank you page, that kind of stuff. Whereas a website is more like a menu or a catalog. They can click around different pages and just get the information that they might want to before going off to make that booking. So we're going to have a look at making a site, but the process is similar for making funnels as well. So let's jump into it. So if I go over to test account I've got here in your Practice Pro, I'm on conversations at the moment, but I go down to sites in the left here. Now it is by default going to load up funnels, but remember we don't want to create a funnel. This time we want to create a website. So I'm going to click over to websites. It also does blog posts. I didn't mention that, but we'll just stick with a normal website for the moment. We go start a new website. Now, once you've had a go, you can create them from scratch if you want, but it's much easier to have a go at the templates. So I'm going to click from a template. I can click that or click continue, and it will load up the templates. Now it's coming up with this one by default because that's the last one I loaded at the top here, but you can of course just scroll down the side here, look under health and wellness, look under beauty and fashion, try and find one. As you know, it says natural juice shop, but honestly, or wellness, nutritionist, whatever, it doesn't really matter too much because you can replace the photos, replace the headings and everything with what it is you're looking for. So we just sort of want to choose one that's got the right kind of fonts and colors that you might like. And you can preview them by clicking here. You'll see a little demo of what it looks like. And once you've got one and you think, oh yeah, this looks pretty good, you know, I can imagine a photo of myself in those places and some other bits and pieces. My logo going here would look like it fits in well with this, whatever it might be. Then we click continue. I'm actually not sure that I love this one, but I'll click continue anyway, just for the point of the demo. So it's adding the template, it's loading images, it's doing all sorts of stuff. And what it's going to do is take us straight into editing the home page of this site. So it has actually created a few different pages in the background here, but it's bringing us into editing the very first one so we can see how this works. Now I'm going to give you a little demo of how the editor works here. It is quite simple to use, so even in a fairly simple demo like this, you'll probably get the majority of what it is that you need. But there is some more detail to this as well, so I do encourage you, if you want to go look at the full documentation around this, but honestly, you can jump in and get an idea of how it works pretty quickly. To be able to literally just edit what is here, you're just going to hover And wherever you see text, you can just sort of click in and, this is new text, right? And if I want to do something like make a link, just sort of highlight it, see this thing pops up. There's a link there. I can make this a link and say I'm going to link to google.com, whatever it might be. I would copy and paste in a link normally, and that will make that piece of text a link. And same, you can make things bold and underlined and all that kind of stuff. Look, I will also show you, just because it's super fun, this AI button. You can say things like make this section longer, or improve my writing, or fix my spelling and grammar. So incredibly helpful when you are writing the text for a website. Now, if you're like, actually, you know what? I'd love that image to be over here. You can just grab things like this and move them around. It's automatically going to resize to the column, sort of showing you different bits and pieces here. But see, as we hover, we get sort of different colored boxes going around that sort of indicate different things. A green one is the section. That's like the whole big area. Inside a section, we have these blue ones. And in there, the blue ones have columns. So you can see this has got 2 purple columns. And if I decide this side's a bit big, I can actually just grab this here and change the column width here. So I could make that a skinny column and this a big one. And I might want to put the text on this side. And this is the kind of stuff that you can play around with if you want to. All very simple. Whenever we are on any element, so whether it's text or a button, you'll see the options for that element appear on the side here. So button is another good one to show you an example of. Button has a few different things. We can change the background color. We could say, I want it to be green. There we go. Isn't that cool? We can change the size of the font to be a bit bigger. You can change the typography, meaning the font and all that kind of stuff. Alignment, padding, and margin mean how much space is around it. So like padding at the bottom will make the button like way bigger, that kind of thing. You can type in the numbers or drag the sliders. As I said, a whole lot of different options that go here. This is an important one to show for buttons. So button actions, we can link to the pop-up, and we can actually edit the pop-up in one of these. Which one is it? This pop-up, there we go. So this is the actual pop-up. It's got the same photo, which is a little bit confusing, but this is the pop-up. So, you can make a form and that kind of stuff in a pop-up, but you might not have pop-ups. But whatever it is, if we're on a button, if you want to link, for example, to your booking page, you go link to website URL. This tops in here, and you just paste in what it is that you're going to link to. So whatever that booking link is, we would put it in there. You can open it up in a new tab if you want as well by doing it that way. So that's buttons, very simple. Look, regularly, you're going to want to hit this save button. This is saving the whole page. It's saying you've made changes to a global section. And it's popping up the SEO data to tell me to change the default, but I'll leave that for later. I will show you what a global section is, because it is kind of cool. A global section is something like a menu at the top here. When we change the menu, we're going to be changing what the menu looks like on every page, right? Because every page has the same menu. And so when it comes to adding a new section, if we want to, there's actually a part here called global sections. Funnily enough, in this template, that menu at the top is not a global section, but the footer is. So this footer here is something that has been set up. Menus might be global by default. But anyway, it's just popping up a warning saying, if you change your global sections, can change it on every page. Whereas, of course, if you're just changing something on the front page, then it doesn't impact the other pages. All of this content is just the same, is just on this page. I think that's pretty simple. It's as I said, a whole bunch of other stuff that you can do with this. Actually, I'm just going to say, if you want to change that background image, you click on the section, scroll down, you find the images. I didn't show you how to upload an image, but it's the same media library that you'd be used to if you've been looking at it in one of the other things like social media. Just upload a file, grab an image, pop something in here, and away we go. It'll just upload it and then we can put it in. Now, because I clicked on the section and it's a background image over here, BG meaning background media, it just sort of shows in the background. If I want to delete it altogether, if I want to get rid of it, I just click in there and just delete the actual URL, and then it's back there, and then I can change it to a color if I want to. So there's a lot of different settings to play around with. I would just say experiment, play around, click around. It's quite intuitive, quite easy to understand. And we do have the full documentation if you need to be able to look at any kind of detail. The next thing that I'll show you though is once you've got these things ready, there's a quick way of skipping to other pages. You can drop this down and see all the pages that are there in this particular website. These are the default ones that have come through from the template. Or if I go back, it'll take me back to the page and then you can sort of see them a bit more visually, which is nice. So that was the home page that we were just editing, but you can see it's loaded in these different ones automatically. Now, and look, link in bio is a page that it's automatically bringing in that you can use for your social media links and stuff. But anyway, all of these, you just click on each one, or you can use the drop down and you can edit them all separately. So there you go. So that's the editor. But what I wanted to show you is once you've got this working nicely, play around, have an experiment. Then when you're back here, there are a few settings that you can have a look at. So I want you to go over to settings. This is the name of the website, and this is where we drop down to find the domains. Now, because I'm in my test account, I don't have any domains set up, so I'll show you how that works in a second. But yeah, you can play around with all of these. The head tracking code is where you would paste your Facebook pixel code or your website, the Google Analytics codes, these kind of things that do statistics and tracking on your site, if you've got those, if you want to be looking at those. And yeah, again, keeping it pretty simple. This is just an overview. But what I will show you is to be able to actually get domain names in this drop down, we need to come through to settings, you scroll down and you head to domains here. Domains, we go add a domain, and this is where it's almost like there's two parts to this. We've got to set up the domain inside Your Practice Pro, and then we've got to add the settings at the domain side of things over wherever it's registered to point it back to here. So it's like Your Practice Pro is catching, and we've got to go set up the domain name to be throwing or to point it back to this place. Now, it's got this awesome automatic connector. So if this works automatically, if your domain name, is registered with someone like GoDaddy or one of the sort of bigger, easier providers, it'll set this up automatically, which is really great. Otherwise, we can add the record manually. So what you do is you just type in your website like this. You may also, if you want to, add a subdomain. I'm going to make one right here called test, but most of the time, unless you're adding it as a secondary domain, as a test or a subdomain for something else, you're usually going to start with just your main domain name. I'm just putting test on here so I can show you. And this is the automatic thing. It's going to go find the provider, retrieve what's called the DNS records. That's the tech setup that needs to be done. Then it's going to tell us what's happening. Now, my domain is with Cloudflare, which is a great provider. If yours is with someone else, as I mentioned, like GoDaddy or name.com, you might also see this automatic thing. This is really, really handy. If yours comes up and says you've got to manually change your DNS settings, there's just a few little settings that you've got to change, and I would encourage you to reach out and get some help from me or someone else with that if you're not tech savvy, because DNS can be a little bit voodoo, and if you get it wrong, it can break your website and your email and everything. So if it's automatic, easy. If you've got to do it manually and you know what you're doing, go ahead. If you've got to do it manually and you've got any questions, reach out to me or to someone that might handle your tech to make sure we can get that working for you. So I'm going to go through and show you what this looks like. For me, I've just got to log into my Cloudflare. Comes up and says, do you want to authorize? And I just click authorize. Could take up to 30 seconds. I'll just pause this so we're not waiting on the recording. And there we go. That took less than 30 seconds. And then it has been added successfully. So this domain name, for me, it's got the subdomain, but even if you've got the full one, it's been added successfully. Now from here, if I want to, I can add this straight to, it says a funnel, but it means a funnel or a website. That's the name of the website. So I can add it there. And default funnel step, it means page of the website. I'm going to click home, and that's how I would link the domain. Now, when you very first add a domain, it gives you these options, and that's really, really great. If you have already got the domains in here and you want to be able to add it to a website later, this is where coming to these settings makes it work. Now you can see that domain has already been added here, but if that was blank, it would still just appear in this drop down, and I can literally just select whichever whichever domain name from any of the ones that are attached to this account. I can just say, for this website that I'm on, the Weight Loss Coach one, click on there, scroll down the bottom here, save, and it will just switch it to that new domain. And so now if I was to actually load up that site, in fact, I'm gonna give this a go right now. Oops. I'll see what happens. That's just a pop-up that I've got popping in, so ignore the AdBlock Plus stuff. What you can see is test.healthletterco is now showing this test site. It's got pop-ups and everything. I haven't looked too closely at what this actual template is, but you can see that that's actually working on my domain name already, which is really cool. So it's that easy. As I mentioned a couple of times there, this is pretty much an overview. If you do want to go into more depth, of course you can, but I would just encourage you to jump in and experiment. It's quite easy to update the text, the content, the images, be able to delete pages, add pages to a menu, and definitely put in the links that are going to lead to scheduling appointments and that kind of stuff. And then you've got a very simple website up and running in, as quick as it can be to be able to get that side of things up. So go ahead. I can't wait to see what it is you create.